Today we're taking a look at the REMETTE Rhino. This is the green G10 and D2 version here. We have a DLC or PVD coated finish here. And D2 is typically a very tough steel and it has good edge retention. But the main worry with D2 is its corrosion resistance issues. And with the coatings that you're using today, the PVD, the DLC coatings, you are not going to have a worry about corrosion with D2 that has this type of coating. And as far as I know, Remette runs their steels properly, especially their D2, from what I've heard from people who have steels tested, people who sharpen knives. Remette runs their D2 on the upper echelon of the companies who use D2. So, in theory, or you are going to get better performance out of this Remette D2 than a majority of other companies who are using D2. So, let's start with the blade. Nice finish work on this guy. We have a nice little flat, a little swedge here. Little bit of belly going to the tip, nice and pokey. We have a nice little straight here. Edge out of box was nice and sharp, no complaints there. Everything is nice and softened. They have this little inset here, then it flares, and then it kind of shallows back out to that tip, which is a nice touch. We also have a cutout here on both sides, and then we have dual thumb studs and a rear flipper tab. The detent is tuned very nicely on this guy. Whether you want to use the flipper, the studs, or the little cutout, it does not matter. They all work very good. So you can kind of pick your poison with this guy. Typically, I use the little cutout on this side for the reverse flick, and then I use the stud for the thumb flick. And then, of course, you can either push button this guy or light switch this guy. The detent is tuned very, very nicely. We also have coated liners. We have internal milling in those liners for weight relief. We have good access. We have a chamfer here, good access to that liner, and we have a chamfer on the liner. Easy to disengage this guy, and then a couple little shakes, and this thing is going home nice and smooth. Very well done. Nothing crunchy or gritty around the pivot there on bearings. So you're going to have some solid action. As far as lockup goes, the lockup is sitting about 30%, 25 to 30%. And I have tested the lock strength on this guy, and it has passed with flying colors. No issues on the lockup whatsoever, which is very, very good news. Moving on to the scales here, the green G10, they have a couple other flavors as well, but the green G10 here, nicely finished. You have some stippling done on the flats, and then the chamfered edges have a nice soft touch to them, so when it's in hand, it will be nice and comfortable here. The spine has been chamfered and softened. We have a matching G10 backspacer here with a hidden lanyard hole there, and then we also have a matching deep carry clip along with the hardware that's DLC'd, and it's going to be reversible. So if you are left-handed or you like to carry your knife or a knife left-handed, you can reverse that clip and you can do that. Typically, these come in right around the $40 mark, I believe, depending on when you pick one up, and if they're having a sale, might be a little cheaper, but it's going to be right around that price tag. And for the fit, the finish, the materials.
Hi, today we're taking a look at the Remette Rhino budget model. This is the new one that's out by Remette. It comes in a G10 scales, has a D2 blade steel, and at a good budget price. You're still getting all the qualities of the Rhino, but a lot cheaper. This one here has T8s for both pivot screws, T6s for body screws. You have a deep pocket carry clip, flush screws here. Comes well centered. This one has the button deleted, has a flipper. Easy access, drop shutty, jimping. You have thumb studs, and you have a cutout slash fuller here in the blade, which makes it a flipper. Here's a reverse flick, works. Thumb studs, fuller. Let's try that again. And it is on ball bearings, so, and you have a lanyard loop, or a place to put a lanyard here. So you get a cloth Torx wrench T8 T6. You don't get the zipper pouch, but I have the Gen 1 and Gen 2 with the button, with the micarta. Love them both. And this one here is just a little bit smaller, but you still get all the great features in it. Have a real thin behind the edge blade, which comes really sharp out of the box. Have a nice sharpening choil. Let's cut a few things here just to show you how sharp it is. We're going to cut some paracord. I'll cut that really quick. Let's double it up. Does that really good. Really sharp. Let's try some cardboard. Cuts right through it. And let's try a little chopstick here. Let's see how it feathers. It's hard to do this behind the camera, but I assure you that it is sharp and it cuts.
Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I want to do a little product spotlight on the REMETTE Knives Rhino. This has D2 blade material. You can get it coated and uncoated. I prefer the coating just because it looks cool and it holds up pretty well. You get G10 scales, OD green or black. Liners, they are not proud or shadow box, but you can see them here. So nothing fancy like nested liners, but you do get a deep carry bent steel clip that you can mount for left carry, which is pretty cool. You do have a ceramic detent ball and ceramic nylon cage bearings, which lend to a extremely smooth action and action of a multi-$100 knife, and this is a sub $50 knife, so that is pretty darn impressive. Perfectly centered, rock solid, side to side, up or down, zero play. Any movement in the pivot, just a tiny bit, but nothing crazy there. I just have some cardboard here, just wanted to show this going through some material. It is pretty darn slicey, and while it does feel compact and robust, it is still an incredible work knife, and this is going to be my work carry for the next couple days at my place of work. Now, in relation to the pivot, the tip is just a tad bit higher, but even still you're able to do a lot of, low down cuts and, just a little bit more precise work like so. And I even have some just standard printer paper, nothing fancy, but just to show how clean it actually does move through thin material. So this thing is pretty darn sweet. I highly...
Okay, so this thing is pretty darn decent. This Amazon app isn't letting it zoom in as good as my phone will, but should be able to see some texture on there. I mean, look how center that blade is. That's you ain't really getting that anywhere. There's always some crooked blades on there. The open mechanism, just to flick it, so smooth. Look at that, so smooth. And if you don't like opening it like that, you can still do it the old school way. Opens great, closes great, and it locks very well. So I'm pushing on that, and ain't nothing happening with that.
Just got my REMETTE Rhino. It's G10 D2. flipper tab, thumb stud, nice deep carry reversible clip.
Hey guys, I wanted to show you all this knife. This is a Remette. Any Remette I've ever had has been a good knife. It feels great in my hands. I think it'll be a good unisex knife because I do have smaller hands and I don't have any problems with it at all. I sharpened it up last night. The D2 felt good. And if you like a thin slicey blade, you would